Alright, we're going to go ahead and introduce everybody who's in my audience.
Hi.
And show your dad. There he is.
Okay.
Alright, y'all can sit down.
Okay. Wait.
Alright, my speech today is going to be over child abuse and the way it connects with violence amongst children.
That's cool.
First thing I want to do is just read a statistic to you that I found that I thought was pretty bad and interesting. It says in 1999, an estimated 1,400 child abuse and neglect-related fatalities were confirmed by the CPS agencies, nearly 4 every day. Since 1985, the rate of child abuse fatalities has increased by 39%. Based on these numbers, more than 3 children die a day as a result of child abuse or neglect. All right. Let's see here. Since 1985, the rate of child abuse fatalities has increased by 39%, which means that more than 3 kids... I just read that to you. I'm sorry. All right. Lots of people blame violent TV for violence amongst children. But one of the things about that is that you can't really blame outside sources until you look on the inside and see what's happening there. According to Violence Against Children, an article written by David G. Gill, the dynamics of child abuse still aren't completely understood, and he also states that legitimately accurate incident rates of child abuse in the U.S. still don't exist. After working in child care, I was privy to some of the damage that like physical and sexual abuse can cause to children. And I mean, first of all, it's not pretty, but secondly, it can cause violence amongst the kids themselves. They have a lot of stuff going on, and they just can't really get it together. There's a lot of things they say, a lot of things that they do that are inappropriate, and you can tell that it has an effect on them. The first thing we're going to focus on are red flags that you can be keeping an eye out for when you're working around kids. The next thing we'll talk about is that we need to work even harder when it comes to intervening in abusive situations. And last, we have to educate everyone, aside from just teachers and child care professionals, on the best ways to deal with abused children. Also, we've got to put more time and money into the current organizations that we have to help deal with abused children and abused families. Some of the things to keep in mind when dealing with kids who may or may not have been abused. Actually, I made a poster board here. Things to keep your eye out for. Alright, so here we have, I'll start at the top with infants. One thing you may notice if an infant is being abused is that their basic need for attachment is disrupted. Routines around feeding and sleeping are disrupted. Irritability or inconsolable crying, frequent illness, and difficulty sleeping. Kids in preschool will have a general regression, things that they've already learned, things that they can already do, and suddenly they can't do them anymore. They don't know the things, they can't do the things. There would be some irritability, fearful of being alone, extreme separation anxiety, developmental delays, excessively sympathetic towards their mothers. In elementary age kids, you see they'll be teetering between eager to please and being completely hostile, just total mood changes. They'll be really verbal about their home life. There'll be developmental delays, externalized behavior problems, and inadequate social skill development. Okay, and then we have the pre-adolescence phase, where you'll see some behavior problems and they'll become more serious. You'll have increased internalized behavior difficulties like depression, isolation, and withdrawals. Emotional difficulties like shame, fear, confusion, or rage. They'll have poor social skills, developmental delays, protection over their mother, and be guarded or secretive about their family. And then we have the actual adolescence phase, where you'll see internal and externalized behavior problems are becoming more extreme and dangerous. You get into things like drugs, alcohol, truancy, gangs, acting out sexually, becoming pregnant, running away, and suicide. Dating relationships may reflect violence learned or witnessed in the home. Okay. Ideally, all these signs would be common knowledge in everyone's household. Everyone who went into a situation where they were around children would know to look out for things like this. So that's one thing that we want to keep in mind if we're going to try and fix violence among children. One big thing you want to do is make sure that things are going well at home, and if you notice weird things like that, you should educate the people around you, have everyone you know ready to just intervene in a situation like that. In 1999, over 3 million children were reported to Child Protective Services as victims of maltreatment. These reports have increased 45% since 1987, and although it's a good thing that we're reporting more cases, which hopefully means that there isn't more cases of abuse, we are just better equipped to detect the abuse, we still have a lot of room to improve. There are certain guidelines to dealing with abused kids in the most productive way for both of you. And I also have a poster for that. When you're working with abused children, you should be sure to listen to them and provide them with space and respect. You can see this one.
No.
Let children know that you care about them and that there are adults interested in their opinions. Use books on the subject to help open children up. Use art, music, drama, plays, or help children express themselves, or to help children express themselves, and refer them to professional counselors as needed. Also, you want to connect them to organizations in the community that work with youth. Help children age-appropriate and realistic safely plan. I don't know what I was writing with that one. And tell them often that someone cares. That's just to have a reminder. Somebody loves you. Okay, no one is perfect, and dealing with abused children can be difficult, but you must be more helpful than hurtful. And then we have situations like this, which actually, you have to give me 1 second to look this up.
It doesn't sound like a child abuse baby. Oh, the nasty bites.
Sorry, 1 second. This is not the one I was wanting.
You got it. You wanted to have it.
Okay.
Wait to watch 60 Minutes on the iPad. See our stories anytime, anywhere. Available in the App Store now.
Quincy, why is one of your cheeks red?
Also this morning in Shelbyville, we're joined exclusively by Bedford County Sheriff Randall Boyce. Sheriff Boyce, good morning to you.
Good morning, Miss Maggie.
I know this is the first time and hopefully the last that you will see something like this. What will determine whether you'll decide to file criminal charges against this woman?
Well, we're going to have to go through this with kind of a fine-tooth comb and see exactly what has been done here. Was this a poor judgment on her part, or has something illegal been done? We're not sure at this point if the adoption is final. We're still checking into that. Court records on these adoptions are sealed. We're going to have to get a court order to get in to see if the adoption was final. If so, was it illegal to put a child on an airplane and send him halfway around the world? We're told that in the United States, a child 8 years old can be put on an airplane and sent wherever, and that's okay, but 7-year-old is not. So it kind of boils down to where this child was 7 or 8 is part of it, and was the adoption already final?
In the meantime, I know you've spoken with the family. Reportedly, this boy had a lot of problems. What were they telling you that he was doing?
Well, what we're getting mostly, we haven't really spoken with them a lot. What we're getting mostly is that he had violent issues and that they were more or less afraid of him as far as trying to burn the house while they were asleep. I think he threatened some of these things. But, you know, like I say, it's still pretty early. We're not exactly sure what the whole deal is.
Have they expressed any regret?
Okay. Just to fill you in a little bit on what this video is about, you probably heard, and if you haven't, it was about a lady in Tennessee who adopted a little boy from Russia, kept him for a couple months, and then decided she just wanted to send him back. So, that's one of the things you should not do to children who have been abused or have any sort of crazy things in their past. Obviously, that child was taken away from his mom for some particular reason, but putting him on an airplane and sending him back to Russia because you don't want him anymore is only going to be detrimental to that child's development. Let's see, where was I here? Alright, the National Center for Children Exposed to Violence and Character Counts, and the Character Counts organization are two examples of public groups which are devoted to reducing violence, cutting risk factors of violence, improving school climate, providing resource centers, providing info on violence, and providing intervention services for children who are in violent situations. As a society, we should do all we can to help organizations like these. And in conclusion, all types of abuse continue to be problems all over the world. We have to do all we can to help. We need to make sure to help get people informed, inform others about the signs of child abuse. We got to take charge and go the extra mile when it comes to intervening in abusive situations. And if we can put an end to violence in the home, then I think that we can help to end violence everywhere. And that's all I got to say about that. So thanks.
Yay!